took all my scraps and cut them into thin slices, and then I took a block off of my pug of regular clay. I cut that into thin slices and I sort of stacked it sandwich style. So I got wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. And now I can take this. You can work with a lot less than this. I'm just want to show you guys what happens here. So when you have clays that are different consistency, you can kind of see the different colors and texture. I think one of these is sculpture, one of them is regular. But when you take this and you drop it on the table, you see how it's now got raised, lower, raised, lower, raised, lower, raised, lower. That's actually the soft clay and the hard clay, and the soft clay and the hard clay. So there's a lot more give and plasticity. And so what we need to do when we wedge is get rid of all that irregularity of, so here I'll do that one more time with this guy. And you can see how the soft clay squishes out much faster. So take your pug or your clay, cut it together in layers, and then cut it again across the grain. And then throw that together. And what we want to do is get this stuff all cross-mixed so that the soft and the hard stuff are sort of all together, mixed in with one another. So this first stage, this is what we call cutting and throwing. By doing this over and over, you do the coarse mixing in big chunks first. And that way, when you start wedging, you don't have hard, soft, hard, and when you press on it, it squishes all out. This kind of gets it started. And so if you take it, even before you begin wedging, do some compressing. Now my clay is super wet, so I'm working on a dry table. I'm leaving a mess, but I'm going to clean that up when I'm done. So a bunch of compressions first. Remember, you guys can always make a mess in here as long as you clean it up. So, okay, so now this is kind of brought together, and I can wedge this and turn it into hopefully usable clay. So I'm going to go through this a number of times. So this is kind of part one of the how to reclaim your clay demo. The stuff that's firm enough to wedge, you can do this. If your clay is really squishy, if you have a lot of slip left, what you might need to do is get one of the plaster bats over there, the big flat discs, and you spread the wet stuff in a thin layer on the bat and leave it for a little while. The plaster will absorb water out of it. And after probably 15-20 minutes, you can scrape it off, and then it's good to wedge then. So if you have a lot of that, let me know later on, and I'll help you kind of see how that works. This guy I got to wedge a whole bunch of times to get it all homogeneous. This should be a really nice consistency for throwing. How's the clay you guys are using? It's still soft? Still feels pretty good? Okay, good. Yeah, it makes a huge difference in terms of being able to center and stuff. So how's it going so far? Centering okay? Oh, you tossed. It's going right? Okay, good. And then, how many of you guys got to open something last time? And did you get some walls painted? Okay.
Like 2-inch walls.
Yeah, okay, good. It's, like I said, we're just still starting out, so continue practicing those stages today. I'm going to do a short demo for you guys as a refresh, and then let you jump right back to it. I want to do some work with the 200 level students. They've so kindly let us have the first 3 weeks. All my attention was on the 100 level class, so I want to do some demos with them, and then I'll come around and help you guys too. Okay.